Hey everyone, today I'm excited to share with you how to deploy GitLab Self-hosted to Red Hat Openshift. My name is Bart Zhang. I'm a Channel SA with GitLab, and today I'll be demoing how exactly you can take the GitLab operator and deploy GitLab Self-hosted to Red Hat Openshift. The first thing you want to do in order to install GitLab Self-hosted OpenShift is you want to check Operator Hub for GitLab and choose whether you want to install the certified or the community edition of GitLab. You'll also notice in the Operator Hub, there's actually a couple more available charts for GitLab Runner. So GitLab Runner is an entirely separate ancillary CI/CD agent that you can install to OpenShift or Kubernetes clusters in order to facilitate your pipeline, similar to how you would with OpenShift pipelines or a similar open source equivalent such as Tekton, for example. And so that's not the focus of today's session. We're going to actually just focus on deploying GitLab's operator to Red Hat OpenShift. So we'll go ahead and confirm that we've installed it. If you haven't, you can click the install button up top where it says uninstall for me since I've already installed it. So let's go ahead and dive into our installed operators in our default namespace, which is the GitLab-system namespace. And so we'll go ahead and inspect the GitLab deployment that I've created. But before we do that, let's go ahead and create a GitLab deployment. And so as you can see here, this does not work out of the box because we'll have to make some customizations. We'll have to update the domain. Now, I was using the default GitLab, the OpenShift provided wildcard domain, and I plan on using routes instead of the default Nginx ingress. That's your English controller that's provided out of the box. So I'll go ahead and customize my my Helm chart or my GitLab operator chart in order to indicate that I'm going to skip the install of the Nginx ingress fork that GitLab has specifically made for all Kubernetes and OpenShift distributions, and I'm going to go ahead and use the OpenShift provided ingress with OpenShift routes. And so in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the values from the documentation in order to specify that I'm not using the Nginx ingress and allowing the OpenShift ingress router to take over. And notice that this is very important. You'll have to insert an annotation that specifies that route termination happens at the edge. So I've already gone ahead and created a GitLab deployment using these exact values. Now, if you're going to deploy out to your own OpenShift cluster, make sure you're using your own wildcard domain, which typically looks something like apps.openshift. And then whatever subdomain you've specified or your administrator has specified when they deployed OpenShift to their target environment. So let's inspect the GitLab deployment that I've gone ahead and created. As you can see, it's the GitLab operator has already deployed all the deployments, the replica sets, and the services, as well as the secrets that you'll need to deploy your GitLab instance out to Red Hat OpenShift. And so if you inspect the services, you'll notice that there is a web service default service and deployment. That service actually supports our GitLab web UI for our self-hosted deployment on OpenShift. And you can actually drill down and see how many pods are supporting it. You can scale this. You can dictate how many replicas you want of the pod at any given moment with the deployment. It's taken a while to load, but once it does, you'll actually be able to inspect what pods are available. And if this doesn't work, I'll go ahead and jump to actually walking through how to access your deployment once you've spun it up. So you want to go to routes, and you'll be able to review the different services that are exposed through OpenShift routes. And as you can see here, I've got the GitLab web service, which actually leads you to be able to access your GitLab deployment. And as you can see here, you can use root and take a secret for the initial root password. In this case, I've got it stored in this particular secret. I'm not going to show it, but if you want to inspect your own secret, you can hit edit secret, and it will share the secret value that you can then go ahead and input into your GitLab web UI login. And once you're in, you can use this account to administrate your GitLab self-hosted deployment out on OpenShift. And as you can see, I'm running GitLab 15.1.1 Enterprise Edition. And it'll actually tell me what components I'm using and what version of those components that I'm using as part of the Helm chart. And if you want to onboard users, you can integrate with LDAP. So you can do it manually, or you can integrate with your LDAP provider of choice. I'm not going to demonstrate that today, but just know that that's a great way to onboard users to your self-hosted deployment. Now, the GitLab web UI is not the only thing you can access through Red Hat Openshift's deployment of GitLab. You can actually also access your storage administrator GUI through Minio. And similarly, I found the access key and the secret key within the secrets for this GitLab-system namespace, and I've inputted it in order to access my Minio browser. So this is all protected by access and secret keys that you'll need to extract from your GitLab system secrets. As you can see here, you can actually review how much storage space is being used for each particular feature set of GitLab self-hosted. There's storage buckets created for each feature set, such as GitLab backups, GitLab large file storage, GitLab artifacts, or even GitLab pages and GitLab Terraform state. So as you can see here, you get a full pane of glass into how your GitLab self-hosted instance is doing in terms of storage. So with that, I'm going to go back to OpenShift and conclude the tour of GitLab self-hosted deployments to OpenShift with a thank you for taking the time to listen and watch this content, and hope you found it interesting, hope you found it helpful. Feel free to reach out with any feedback or questions you might have. I'm always happy to chat.